Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. I am going to give it a second to let some people get in here. As always, it takes a few minutes for people to come in, and hopefully, this won't be a long one tonight. I hope I can cover the topic and be concise and to the point and kind of illustrate what goes on in this kind of a situation. Hello, Hissy Fits. I hope you're having a good week. Cool Black Widow. Hey, Coolin. Hey, Miss Lady. Good to see you. Good to have you guys. Sorry, my allergies are killing me. Yeah, let a few more people get in here before I launch into the meat of the topic. Rather serious one, in my opinion. Hey, Outdoors with Big Matt. Hi, J&G Reptiles. How are you? Hey, Not Lou. How are you? Not Lou and JG and Hissy Fits Squatchy. You guys will probably be very, very interested in tonight's topic. Fully Envenomated. How are you? There's a snake on the loose. I've got 8 watching, so I guess I'm gonna start with the story. Miss Lady, glad you're taking time to jump in over here. Same with Coolin. Outdoors, you too. Thank you guys so much for being here. These lives are helping my channel grow. I honestly didn't want to, you know me, I didn't want to do them at first. I like photographing snakes. I don't like photographing me. Cam and Tate, thank you guys for showing up. I wonder why it flags when people say hit the like button. Like that's like some kind of inappropriate thing or something. Squatch, it's okay. Remember, I looked you up on the phone under Squatch. Think about that. That's funny. I wasn't planning on doing another live for like another week at least, but then kind of a situation evolved this afternoon, and I thought, why not address it and document it and record it step by step of how and what goes on during these kinds of situations. This was a little bit disturbing. Hi, Ariel. Thank you for being here. Hey, you know I've got your back too, Ariel. I really appreciate your support. That's Ariel. That's my friend from down under. Basically, to make a long story short, I get a message from someone on Instagram today, and they say, "Can you ID this snake for me?" And I say, "Well, yeah, I don't know. Send me the pic. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. I usually can. I usually can ID most snakes. Not all of them. I'm not like, a snake ID guru like Jake Bagley. But, I can generally get 99 out of 100 if the pictures are good. When you get in those potato pictures, that's where it gets a little funny, a little hard to reach. But anyway, I'm doing stuff around the house. My wife is making dinner, probably about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to have company tonight. And I get this message, can you ID a snake? Well, send me the picture. Maybe I can. I hope I can. I should be able to. And so I get this picture. And I may use it as like a thumbnail for this live after it's over, or I'll put it on Instagram or something. But I'll show you what I was talking about. This lady sends me a picture. And keep in mind, we've had several snake escapes where there's a cobra in Grand Prairie, Texas. There's a cobra in North Carolina. I think that was recovered. I don't know about Grand Prairie, Texas. But snake keepers seem to be losing their snakes. Not all of them. It's a very, very small minority. Most snake keepers are very, very responsible and take security very highly. Um, and that's a good thing too, because who wants any kind of exotic animal getting loose, especially a dangerous venomous animal. But that leads into where I'm going. I get a picture from this friend of mine on Instagram. I'm not going to identify her because it wasn't her fault. She's not a snake expert. And says, "Hey, what's this snake?" And I look at it for 2 seconds and I go, "Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful European adder. I'm not sure the common name, but I know the Latin name is Vipera berus. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I know that I can spell it right. But it is venomous." I said, "Okay, that's what the snake is. If not, it's a very, very close relative. I did recognize it as a European adder. Um, there's a few different subspecies of those guys. I'm not an expert on European snakes by any means, but I've seen enough of them to know that the picture she had sent me was that of a European adder. Hey, Desert Wolf, good to have you in the house. This lady is in Oklahoma, in the Tulsa area. And I asked her, where is this snake at? Or like, what's the story? And she says it's loose in a person's yard in Tulsa. I immediately had the red flags go off in the back of my head. And I was definitely thinking, this is a crock. Um, had it been something that was common in the pet trade, it may have been a little bit more believable. But also, when you couple that with the odd number of, snake escapes that are happening currently, you're kind of going, I wonder, you know? Um, the European adders are not common in the pet trade over here, like gaboon vipers, monocled cobras, things like that. In no desert, I'm not at QT tonight. I'm at home drinking water. But anyway, I kind of feel like this is. I get the gut feeling that this is a load of BS or some kind of junk. Um, and I said, "Are you sure that this person knows what they're talking about? Because this is a venomous snake." And she's like, "Yes, I'm pretty sure that this person is not lying about this." I said, "Okay." I said, "You need to have this person roll their trash can out there." Because the picture I got was of it on a tree. Keep in mind, I'm doing stuff. I'm trying to get the house clean for company. I don't have the time to sit there and start looking up stock pictures of this animal. But I kind of wish I would have. It would have saved me a lot of pain. Um, I start immediately shooting the picture to several people in the Tulsa metropolitan area. And hey, can anyone assist? If this turns out to be legit, can anyone assist? And I get a couple of people that bite. And keep in mind, I'm a local snake guy. My friends that I emailed the picture to, they're local snake guys. What happens is we admin or run or participate in local ID pages. And so inevitably, someone pops up, has a copperhead in their backyard, or a cottonmouth in their barn, or something, and they don't want to kill it. They want someone to come get it, relocate it, which that's a topic in and of itself. But anyway, I I'm kind of sitting there thinking, well, I have never seen a European adder at any of the venomous shows in Texas, which I used to get to. I don't generally, I don't generally get to the venomous shows in Texas these days. We don't have venomous shows in Oklahoma, but a European adder, Vipera barus, or barus, however you pronounce it, isn't something you commonly see. So I just had this real freak feeling that this was a load of malarkey, and this lady is swearing that that this person would not lie to her. I take the photo, send it to a buddy of mine who IDs stuff all over the world. He knows European stuff, Asian stuff, African stuff, Australian stuff. I haven't yet seen a snake this guy can't ID if the picture's even marginally good. His name is Jake. Guy's super cool, and he knows he can ID snakes like no one. He's really really good with it. So I'm like, Jake, this is what I think it is, right? Double check me here, because once again I'm scrambling around doing dishes, doing other things, and then I get this message. He's like, yeah, that's what it is. And he's like, that's not in Oklahoma. And I said, I don't think so either, but this person is swearing it is. So I catch this other guy, a friend of mine who works downtown, and he just happens to be leaving work. And I get the approximate area of where this thing is supposedly being sighted at. And I say, look, it's in this area, and, you know, can you swing by there on your way home? I'm trying to tell these people, look, you need to tell them to take a broom. The animal was in a tree. The photo I got was of the animal in a tree. So just take your trash can out there, roll it underneath where the animal is, hit it off with the broom. It's real easy to subdue like a venomous snake when it's like a small, viper type, and it's like on a tree or in a bush or something. Um, it's not hard. It's not something like a 15-foot mamba on the ground, or 12-foot cobra on the ground, or something's under the house. That's kind of a little bit different story. But this guy is like, I need an address from these people. I need it now. I message her again and say, hey, can you get this address for me, like now? Like this is a very time sensitive issue. Snakes don't stay in the same place forever. If this is legit, and we all have our doubts, but it could be, But anyway, we all have our doubts, but I need an address. And she's like, well, she's not getting back to me. She provides the lady's phone number to me. I call her directly. It goes to voicemail. And I'm sitting there going, interesting. And it turns out, DWA, you got it. Absolutely. It was 100% fake photo. Um, I scrambled a team of people because I couldn't go check it out. Because generally, a lot of times, if I have the time, I will go check something like that out. I do this free of charge. I don't mind doing it. A lot of people around here, um, a lot of your licensed professional wildlife removal people will charge anywhere from $200 to $1,000 just to even look at any kind of snake problem. Um, and to me, it's kind of brutal and harsh, but a lot of times I am just like, deal with it, call someone closer, because I just generally can't get up and go as much as I used to, or a lot of times I would be out in the field and we would get a message, into a group chat, hey, who's near Sapulpa, or who's near Bixby, who's near Sand Springs? Someone would be, and that would be the person who would go check it out. I couldn't leave the house because we had company coming over. My wife's making a wonderful dinner. That was very good. I hope she sees this. I hope she's watching. She may not be. Oh well. But anyway, Kyle calls me and is like, hey man, dude, what's up? You know, there's something not right with the story. I said, I agree with you. There's something very not right with this story. And so I messaged the lady back. This is going on for uh, this is going on for like 30 minutes now. Survival, good to see you. Latin Patriot, good to see you. Matthew, good to see you. Sorry, I missed you today, Matthew. This day turned into a mess. But Matthew, you know what we got in store. It's coming, buddy. Logic, good to see you. Glad to see you in my live. I got you over on Rumble, just FYI. Look out for me. I'm a recent sub. Thank you to all my family from Discord that's jumping in over here. Really appreciate the support. But anyway, I'm like, lady, you need to give me an address because I'm this close to calling the police or something and saying, hey, venomous snake in this area, call animal control, do something, do something. Because, if we could get an address, we could go check it out. My buddy Kyle, who took the initial request for help, like works like 4 miles from this place where they're telling me it is, and he's going to drive right past it on the way home. Hey Lou, man, I was going to hit you up for my next live, and I plan on it, but this was just kind of a solo off the cuff tonight. But anyway, I've got two people seeing, if they can get free and go respond to this situation. Hey Hitch, good to see you. I've got another person or two working on a few other things, and they are, doing what they do kind of behind the scenes for this kind of stuff. They're checking around, they're checking message boards to see if anyone by chance owns one of these and to see if it's escaped and if it's on the loose in Tulsa. Survival, hit me up. I can help you figure out Rumble. Hi, Iron Dog. Good to see you, man. I'm thinking of you, and I'm pulling for you, bro. But anyway, you get 5 or 6 people who are snake people involved. There's usually about that many in a metropolitan area that can successfully and humanely deal with like an escaped venomous snake or a venomous snake in an inhabited area. People who have the tools like tubes, hooks, tongs, venom-proof buckets, things like that. Escape-proof buckets. These aren't the kind of things most animal control even carry. Maybe they do now. Excuse me, sorry about that. Dinner was too good tonight. My wife, she rocks. But, police, respond to something like this, they're probably going to kill it. Animal control is probably going to kill it. I mean, I'd like to think that a lot of them are getting better about these kinds of things. But in the end, it turns out to be a hoax. And this lady was friends with this other lady who basically posted this as a hoax, said it was serious. Multiple people called her. once again, most of us had our doubts because, it's not a cobra. I mean, right now, escaped cobras, that's the trend. The one in North Carolina that belonged to that one kid was recovered. I don't know about the Grand Prairie, Texas one, if it was ever recovered. But, right now, like cobras getting escaping seem to be the trend. Um, it's most unfortunate because there are a lot of people out there that do keep venomous reptiles responsibly. And I was like this close to saying, look, I'm calling the police, I'm giving them this phone number, and I'm going to get them involved because we were messaging the lady who originally reported the picture and saying, hey, look, even if they kill it, we don't care. We want to recover the carcass if this is, the snake. Because once again, it would be highly unusual for this species of animal, which is, I think, fairly rare in the wild. I know it doesn't have a huge geographical area. I could be a little wrong on that. Once again, European venomous, not my jam. It's not my game. But it's just like I said, it's not something you see in the pet trade. You see things like squams, you see cobras, you see native venomous, you see rhino vipers, gaboon vipers, things like that. European alpine adder, is just not something that you see all the time. Everyone's evaluating in their head, is this BS? Is this BS? Then finally, Jake gets to me. He's like, man, what's the photo they sent you? And I get it to him. And he's, I guess, in front of a computer or something. I couldn't stop what I was doing and do what he did, which was a reverse lookup. And he messages me back. And he says, it's a stock photo. And I'm like, good grief. All these people stop what they're doing and once again out of their own pocket jump in to help with the situation where one guy's going to drive 3 or 4 miles out of his way to go get this thing, and he has the tools on him and he keeps them in his car. Most of us do. Most of us kind of roll like that because we never know when you're going to have a situation. I don't know how many times I've been driving home from the grocery store and my wife calls me or a friend calls me and there's a snake in my garage. I think it's a copperhead. And, in situations like that, I'm all too happy to go in with a set of tongs and say, hey, let me catch it, let me deal with it. Because if it is venomous, I at least know how to remove it safely. I'm not a licensed wildlife control guy. I'm not a nuisance wildlife control operator. Um, you know, and once again, I'm not doing it for money. I just try and do it to help people out and help snakes out. 9 out of 10, it's usually a rat snake or a bull snake or a water snake. It's normally not a copperhead, and it's something you take, quarter mile, half mile down the road, drop it off at the lake, let it go, and it goes about its life and doesn't run in with the people again. But this was just like a horribly, horribly stupid prank that was being pulled by this lady that thought she was being funny. Um, I did pin down the person who initiated this whole thing on Instagram and said, hey, where is this person? Show me this person's profile picture. Because apparently they were posting it in Snake ID groups too. And, and so I didn't see any of those posts. Once again, I was not at a place where I could stop. But, and so right now we're sending out her profile picture and her name and her phone number to all our friends involved in, snake relocation, snake identification, things like that. And basically saying, hey, if this person posts something, just delete them, block them from your group. You know, it's kind of the case of, you don't need that kind of havoc in these kinds of situations, because what happens is when someone does have a legitimate escape, you want that situation responded to as quickly as possible. Um, if a snake is being kept in an aquarium and you forget to lock the lid on it, or it has a loose lid or something, the snake escapes. Every minute that snake is loose, it has a chance to get further and further away from the place it originated. A lot of times, it's been my experience on snake escapes that they generally don't go too far. They generally like get out of their cage or enclosure and hide under a table or go into a closet, or go, they may leave the area they're at. If they get out of the building they're in, that's a whole nother issue, but even then they normally don't get that far. A lot of times people have big pythons escape, and that's really unfortunate because big pythons can be rewarding to interact with, and can make good pets. You know, but sadly, once again, there's been a history of those escaping too, and it's been most unfortunate. But anyway, basically, about an hour and a half of my afternoon got shot. I can't get it back over this person who decided that it would be fun to pull this as a prank. Um, when I was told by the original person who contacted me that they shot it and killed it, I thought, gosh, they said that this person lived close to Edison High School, and that's when another red flag went off, because it's like you're probably not going to shoot anything in a populated area like that. If you do, you need to be reported to the police, in my opinion. I mean, it's not safe to be, a block down the street from a high school and firing off a gun, especially when it can ricochet. Sadly enough, about 10 years ago in Oklahoma, an officer in the central part of the state unfortunately did shoot at a non venomous snake in a tree. The bullet missed the snake and hit a 5-year old kid who was fishing like 2 miles away. It was something ridiculous like that. It was really horrible. A 5-year old kid lost his life, totally destroyed the family. The police department, it was a very small police force. I can't remember the town, but they ended up all losing their jobs. The whole force got dismantled, and I don't know if it got rebuilt or not. They might have just turned it over to the county sheriffs. But there's a lot of fear and hysteria surrounding things like snakes, and I think the onus is on us as people who educate other people about snakes to teach responsible education regarding things like that. And basically, this could have been the kind of situation where, had it carried on, the sad to say, the authorities might have gotten involved. I don't ever want to call animal control for any reason. I have my own druthers about that. I'm not saying they're bad or that they do bad work, but a lot of times they're just not equipped to deal with, some forms of native wildlife, or some forms of exotic wildlife. And once again, like I said, we all kind of felt from the beginning, we don't know if this is legit, but we also didn't want to take any chances. So we start going all these different directions. Once again, just out of the fact that we like snakes, we don't want someone who's inexperienced in working with venomous snakes to get bit trying to mess with one, trying to kill it, trying to catch it, whatever. But basically, the whole kind of area kind of went into, I wouldn't say a tizzy, but quite a few people were, I don't say upset, but were concerned that there was indeed a venomous snake loose in the neighborhood. And once again, I think Hissy Fit said, it's not a good thing to troll about right now, because when these incidents happen and they are legitimate, um, they need people who can respond to them to not hesitate. Like, I can catch pretty much any form of venomous snake if I can find it, with either hooks, tubes, snake tongs, a broom, and a bucket if it comes to it. And I carry this stuff with me just in case. Most of my friends do too. A lot of your Snake ID groups, the admins on this page, they keep stuff like that handy just in case they ever get a call or ever do this or do that. And once again, I recently had an issue where my wife's cousin had a snake get into their roof, and got in through a hole, and it was in the roof. It later turned out to be a rat snake, and I went over there to see if I could catch it, and the crawl space was so narrow, like I'd have to be like this skinny, and believe me, I'm not this skinny. I wish I was this skinny. I'm not this skinny. But hey, Christina J, glad to have you here. But I couldn't get up in the attic where the animal was, and I'm like, look, you're just gonna have to let it come out on its own or something. They didn't want to do that, so they start calling around and asking, wildlife removal places, how much will you charge to come get this thing? And they got anywhere from like $200. And then the people they called who were $200 didn't come out, and then later said, reneged on the deal and said they wouldn't come out. They had one company say they wouldn't touch it for under $1,000. I mean, which is pretty kind of pretty crazy. Um, I ran over there a couple of times when it was spotted, but it was back up in the attic and in the narrow crawl space before I could get to it. I think eventually it came out on its own or something, and they haven't seen it since. But $1,000, JG, exactly, and two hooks and two pairs of tongs, two buckets in the car at all times. There's people like me and you out there, JG, who would gladly do this just to help someone. And you know, it's to me, it's just a very, very sad commentary when someone like this person wants to pull a prank like this, to cause this kind of furor. And then, like I said, there's people who are trying to save you from spending that thousand of dollars, $800, $500. They heard several prices. And, and once again, there's people like JG, myself, my friends Kyle, Heath, Jake. We do stuff like this. We do stuff like this out of the goodness of our hearts to try to, help people not have to blow $1,000 trying to get a snake out of their garage. And and that $1,000, JG, was no guarantee. It's like we're going to come out, and this is what it costs for us to even look at and assess the problem. We're not guaranteeing you we're going to get the snake out of your roof, but this is what it takes for us to even mess with it. So, funny story. Right after that incident, I get on the phone with a friend of mine who is a licensed nuisance wildlife control operator. He was in the state of Oklahoma, very, very popular fellow in the state, did a lot of rehab work and things, and his main thing was humane wildlife removal. And he became very popular, had a show on TV for a little while. That didn't go so great for him. Ended up getting out of that, and later he moved on to another state where he's kind of doing the same thing there today. And I asked him, what are you charging for snake calls these days? Because I heard $1,000. I was like, I'm like with you, Squatch. We're in the wrong business. or we just need to save up the money and buy a vehicle and go do this. And he said that, 9 out of 10, he won't get involved with snakes nearly as much anymore because either people have a situation where, the same event can happen again. There's an area that they don't want to patch or they don't want to fix, or there's an area where snakes are simply going to be. Or, you have a backyard pond, and there's a water source. And he came, he said, I could come out and charge you guys $200 to pull a snake out of your pond every time I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to charge you over and over again. And he didn't feel like that was right. And I was thinking, well, I personally, I would have been about that money. I would have done it. But then again, once, there's people like us in every neighborhood who are willing to do this kind of stuff for free. I wouldn't even say it's putting ourselves at a lot of risk because most of the people that I know and would contact about this kind of situation, are trained and they've worked with venomous snakes in the past, either in the field, in captivity, in a zoo. They're people who know what they're doing. They're not people who are going to go get a copperhead or a rattlesnake out of your garage and get bit by it. It's just not going to work like that. It's kind of like, rodeo cowboys. They know how to, they know how far to walk behind the horse without getting kicked. It's kind of the same type of situation. Hey, Two Metal, glad you're here. Hey, Joker, glad you're here. Yeah, why did this person feel like pulling this kind of prank and drawing this kind of attention to themselves would be a good thing? Um, Basically, I normally don't believe in doxing people, but right now we're doxing this person pretty bad. We wouldn't even say doxing, we're just saying, hey, watch out for this person. If they post something in your group, know that it may indeed very well be a hoax. Excuse me, sorry. Once again, summer rains, and we're not used to those in Oklahoma. Normally, it's dry as a bone this time of year. But long story short, someone asked me to ID a snake. I properly ID the snake. I get confirmation from another person. That's what we're dealing with. And then someone says, it's on a tree at my house in, you know, the middle of town. Okay, all of a sudden, we're sitting here and thinking to ourselves, this sounds like BS. Probably is BS, but yet we have to deal with it, or we want to, be ready to deal with it. In some of these situations, sadly, you know, if it's an issue of an escaped pet, it's unfortunate. If a large constrictor or something that's venomous gets killed, but I mean, that's what's going to happen 9 out of 10. Those situations generally don't have good endings. But J&G, the picture of it is all over Shutterstock. It is Vipera barus. Once again, the common name I think is European adder. If you go to Google Images and you put in European adder, I guarantee you'll see the picture pop up, and I will. I'll throw it up on Instagram later or something for a little while. I'll tag you in it because I'll show you the picture that was sent to me. But it's and once again, it's not my understanding that they can't be arboreal. It's just this picture, this one was, and once again, I did correctly identify the snake. I sought out a guy who is a global snake specialist. I'm more of a, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas kind of person when it comes to those things. This guy Jake that I lean on heavily. He can name anything in the book. Um, you know, from Asia, Australia, Europe, Russia, South America. I mean, he's just good with all kinds of snake ID. And exactly, I don't know what this person gained. I think they lost a friend, because this person bent over and started profusely apologizing to me when I said, look, hey, you know, Jake got back with me. He did a reverse search on the photo, and it's absolutely, this is a hoax. This was not seen today. This is where it was first uploaded in 2016. And I started covering that ground with her, and she just starts going off about this person, blank this B word, and da 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 da. And I kind of don't blame her because she thought it was the real thing. We all had our suspicions, but we kind of wanted to be ready just in case it wasn't. Because it would be very, very interesting to find something like that was an escaped pet from somewhere. And once again, at a time when there are a lot of snake escapes happening, you're kind of like, you don't know what's really going to be a true occurrence and what's not until you can verify something. But needless to say, the whole thing was a prank for attention. I want to say they ended up losing a few friends in the deal. Um, they're definitely losing their reputation publicly, as far as anything snake related. If they ever have a snake show up at their house again, I know the 4 or 5 main ID groups in the state have already been sent this person's profile picture, their phone number. One of my friends went out and downloaded their entire profile off Facebook so they could have it, just so it's like, look, we can't waste our time with this kind of stuff. And once again, I wouldn't doubt that that's why some of the wildlife removal companies charge so dang much to deal with a snake. A lot of times people call and they think, well, I've got a snake in my garage. Well, if they can get there within 5, 10 minutes, there's a good chance that snake may be in the same place it was when you first saw it. If you wait 2 hours to call, or if you call around 2 or 3 companies, by the time you've found out who you can afford to hire, the snake's gone. And then you're probably out that money whether they recover the animal or not. Once again, I'm not putting down people who do wildlife removal for a living. I think it's good that those people are there, and a lot of times they've done a lot for animals out of their own pocket before they even start charging people. I've known of several that have been like that. I've known of some good ones. That much I will say. But it was a ridiculous and socially irresponsible prank when I heard that the animal got shot, um, like 2 blocks from a high school. Like, I was this close to calling the police and saying, look, here's this person's phone number. You need to go investigate this. This person is telling me that they're shooting snakes in this neighborhood, in schools getting, at the time when school's getting out. Once again, not my thing. I don't want to be the dude that calls the police on anybody. Generally, I like dialing 357. It's more my style. But 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 yeah, exactly, Matt. It was a horrible story about the police shooting several years ago. I want to say it was 2010, 2011. Kid was fishing with his grandfather on a pond on their property. Guy shoots at a rat snake in a tree, misses the whole thing. The bullet travels like over a mile and nails a 5-year-old kid in the head. Absol- Absolutely horrific, and totally an inappropriate response to dealing with a non venomous snake. And who knows, maybe in the future, maybe I will put together a snake education program for law enforcement departments or something. But either way, today's situation, it turns out to be a sick prank. We're getting the person's name and picture out there everywhere because we just don't want people to risk believing them. Um, it's totally unnecessary, and 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 once again can lead to things that can happen that are bad. Um, yeah, Two Metal. Yeah, that was several years ago, but that did happen. It's still well documented. You can Google it, and you will find plenty of news articles about it. Ariel, don't know who taught the cop how to shoot, but think about being 20, 25 feet away from a rat snake that's maybe this big around, and up in a tree, and possibly occluded. It's not an easy thing to shoot, but it's totally unnecessary to even shoot at it in the first place. I mean, even if the snake was venomous, shooting at it still isn't the answer. Once again, there was probably someone locally they could have called. A matter of fact, I know there was, looking back, because I know people who I met later after that incident who were in that area, who, if someone would have put on Facebook, hey, in the community page, who's into snakes, who can help us with this, one of these guys would have shown up with a pair of tongs and a bucket, and a kid would still be alive, and an entire police force would still be, intact. Very, very horrible incident. And unfortunately, people like to do things that sometimes just aren't funny. And exactly, Ariel, you never shoot at anything unless you know there's a backstop. Sometimes police don't have that option. Now, in this case, they totally did. They didn't have to shoot at the snake. They could have just waited. They could have, you know, climbed up the tree, knocked it out with a pole or something, or called in the fire, a neighboring fire department that had a ladder. They could have went up there and got it that way. Um, and once again, I'm never an advocate for killing snakes of any kind, but especially not non-venomous snakes. But once again, it's just like, I mean, what kind of happened was today was really a waste of several people's time. And once again, it's kind of like, next time, if you get a call like that again and it's someone that really needs your help, you're going to be sitting there going, this sounds like a load, is it? And that just makes people want to help less. So I'm sorry I couldn't do a more uplifting live tonight, but it's just what I dealt with this afternoon. My sincere apologies to Kyle, Heath, and all them guys for dragging them into it because I couldn't get away. I'm glad that they were able to. Had it come to the situation of actually being a real incident, it would have been nice to have people that knew what they were doing deal with it. Animal control or police would have been a second option. Exactly, it's the boy that cried wolf. Um, but anyway, hopefully this person gets a fair amount of public shaming over this because, once again, it wasn't a funny joke. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'm going to kill this pretty quick. I didn't want to do a live tonight. Um, I wasn't even planning on a live for like another week, but this incident made me think I need to kind of walk through this with some people and say, hey, when this happens, here's the trickle down effects. People stop what they're doing. Someone leaves work early. Someone goes, throws their equipment in their car, gets ready to, respond. And once again, 9 out of 10, they do it for free. Probably because, sadly, the hysteria and stuff of snake sightings in a place like Oklahoma, which has a lot of snakes, it's down further south. They're here more active throughout more parts of the year. It's probably why the prices on getting a professional to come in and deal with something have gone up so far. It's just a hunch, just a guess. But anyway, if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, drop them in the comments section below after I kill this live. Big shout out to Matthew Radford. Go check out his Smug Mug link. Guy does some amazing photography work. I literally hope to be finding me and him go out and find snakes. We photograph them, and I wish I could photograph snakes like he can. I can video them pretty well. He can photograph them. But check out Matthew Radford on SmugMug. And Matthew, if it's okay, I may put a link in the description of this video. You let me know. But anyway, man, yeah, snake safety, nothing to joke around with. It's nothing to, you know, cause a, or pull a prank about. Um, you know, the sooner the sooner people who know how to catch and contain snakes can deal with the situation, it's always the better. And this idiot that we dealt with today, I'm so freaking close to saying this person's name in public. I've already blasted it on Instagram a couple of times, but because of that, you know, it kind of makes you go, yeah, that's your problem. You deal with it. I don't want to get involved. Um, yeah, snake relocation and dealing with nuisance snakes is I won't say it's a thankless job, but you're that neighborhood snake guy that gets called at 2 in the morning for a non-venomous garter snake. Um, so we do, I mean, there's some amount of sacrifice that goes into this. Um, and once again, like I said, we do this out of the goodness of our hearts. Maybe we need to start charging. Um, you know, Looking back at it all, I just was kind of befuddled that, 4 or 5 people wasted at least an hour each dealing with a situation today that was a total hoax. Too metal for you, it was not someone known to the snake community. It was some idiot just pulling a prank. And once again, word's out on the street about them in all the ID groups. And so if they ever have an issue again, hopefully they're not responded to because, I mean, they don't deserve the help. Yeah, I said it. But anyway, gang, I'm going to end this tonight. I'm going to be on my other channel later over on Discord. If you're from my Discord family, check me out over there later. But thank you for stopping by this live. Thank you for giving it a thumbs up. Um, Thank you everyone who showed up and joined, participated. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave them for me down below, and I'll be in touch. You guys take it easy.